Welcome to Potter Revisited, episode 96. I'm Tori.
And I'm Shay.
Today we are covering chapter 36 of Goblet of Fire, The Parting of the Ways.
Or, as we like to call it, gaslighting.
So at the end of last chapter, we have just heard the tale from Barty Crouch Jr. enter Serum. So we know that he's been impersonating Mad Eye Moody, and he arranged basically all of this stuff to happen to Harry. And he's kind of indirectly what got Cedric killed as well. And this chapter is very interesting as it kind of sets up a lot of stuff for the Phoenix. And obviously, just off the top, I just really hate Fudge in this chapter.
Oh my god, I despise him.
We're going to talk about it later, but how he literally had like this, they caught the guy that did this, who was a Death Eater that was like a fugitive basically. And then Fudge just like ruined it. He ruined it all.
Yeah, absolutely. It's insane. Like, and then he's like, oh, there's no evidence. And it's like, bitch, we had evidence.
Yeah, you destroyed it. Oh my gosh.
That's on you. And like, especially when you consider the amount of people that witnessed Barty Crouch's confession. Snape got the Veritas serum. And even if you don't like Snape, because he's a morally questionable guy, nobody's ever questioned the morality of Minerva McGonagall. So, like, you've got a number of witnesses who report, like, Snape brought the Veritas serum. They all watched. They all heard him say the stuff. And somehow that's not enough. And, like, we're reputable source types, you know? It's absolute bullshit. Like, use the friggin' Pensieve. Take out their memories of the confession and take a look-see, you know?
But starting at the top, so Harry has, just witnessed Barty Crouch Jr. and everything like Dumbledore wanted him to. But now Harry's like, he's been through it. He's going into shock. He's very numb. And Dumbledore wants him to kind of like tell him in more detail all the stuff that has happened because Dumbledore hasn't had time to speak to him yet with everything going on.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. Like, witness testimony is usually pretty shoddy at best, so you want to get him to say everything he remembers.
Yes.
You want him to say everything that occurred before he forgets it or before he represses any of those memories. And, like, even though he's super traumatized right now, all those details are going to be the sharpest and the most accurate. So, like, as unkind as it is to force Harry to sort of go back through what happened, it is the right thing to do given the circumstances.
Despite everything, though, Harry asks about Cedric's parents as they're walking into Dumbledore's office, which it kind of shows that although Harry's been, like, irrevocably changed at this moment, he still has his empathy there, and he still feels bad.
Yeah, all these terrible things happened, and, like, the whole state of the world has changed, and yet he's still concerned with, like, the humanity of it, the base entry friendships and relationships, and, like, it's nice that he holds on to that even in his current state. He's just like, wait, something happened to someone. People loved them. How are they doing? It's a very, very peak Harry. And Harry's going through it. Like, he's so traumatized. He's trying to do his best.
Yes.
And he's sitting in Dumbledore's office, and Fawkes is there emotionally supporting Harry because emotional support isn't Dumbledore's strong suit. And honestly, Fawkes is basically just like a good cup of tea and a lorazepam. Like, he is just chilling Harry out so effectively. Bless that bird.
So also Sirius is here. So we finally get Sirius there to comfort Harry and kind of like be around for Dumbledore's next steps of his plans. But I was thinking about Fawkes and kind of Harry, the immediate comfort Harry kind of feels with Fawkes being near him. Is it because Fawkes is a phoenix and this is something phoenixes do? Or is it because he's connected to Fawkes because of the Wand Core?
I think it's probably just a Phoenix thing. Like, we hear about how their song is healing and their tears are healing. So I think in general, the like vibes of Phoenix are sort of a comforting and healing vibe as is. And I think even if it weren't Harry sitting there, like if they were talking to not really dead Cedric or Neville Longbottom or whatever, I think Fawkes is just as capable of soothing and a little bit healing the emotional state of anybody.
Yeah.
It likes Harry maybe a bit more on a personal level because like they're like acquaintances. They've hung out a few times, but certainly I think it's just Phoenix stuff.
Yes, because I guess Fawkes is just basically like a therapy dog, an emotional support animal.
Exactly, like a very, very good emotional support animal.
Yeah, so we talked a bit about like how Harry has to start speaking to Dumbledore about what he's seen, and Dumbledore even like apologizes for it, saying that like I know it's hard, but like it's better to do it now before it really like sets in what happened. He needs to know all the facts so he can create his master plan. But I feel bad for Harry too. Even Sirius is kind of like, do we have to do it now? Can't we like wait? Because Harry's injured as well as being traumatized. But need to get it over with now.
My other question is, if he wants a retelling that's unbiased and like all the details, why doesn't he just like wand out Harry's memory and say, hey, can I borrow this? And like just look at it in the pensieve. Like remove Harry from the whole process of seeing what Harry saw or knowing what happened. Isn't that an option?
I feel like he wants Harry's perspective, though.
I guess.
Because he keeps talking about, like, how brave and how noble Harry was and how he went above what was expected of him. Like, he's, like, really, like, ironing that into Harry.
I mean, what was expected of him? He got kidnapped by a serial killer. Like was anyone just, like, not giving up and being like, kill me quickly, please, so I don't feel a lot of pain, is more than is expected. So, like, it's kind of funny how he's like, wow, so much more than the things I would have expected from you, which is still many things. And it's just like, what?
It's like they always say where Dumbledore expects too much, since Snape say that at some point in the series.
Yeah.
But we find out, or I guess Harry tells them that Wormtail used his blood to revive Voldemort, and Dumbledore gets that gleam of triumph that is like a big thing in the series.
Yeah, the triumph in Dumbledore's eyes at the fact that Voldemort can now touch Harry Potter. Why is he feeling triumphant? I know to some extent that the fact that Voldemort can now touch Harry relates to like Horcruxes and the mother's love magic that protects Harry and the living with a relative protection of being with the Dursleys and all that. But I don't know exactly how it connects in such a way that Dumbledore is having like an epiphany of like, I understand something. Oh, this is good. Like I don't understand how those things connect to make him feel triumphant in this moment.
Yeah, we talked a bit about, because I feel like it might be explained in Order of the Phoenix, but I kind of forgot why the blood war was so important. And we were talking about it during our episode where Voldemort comes back. And is it to do with the Horcruxes, or is it to do with the prophecy? As could that be considered marking him as his equal, even though he already marked him as a baby?
Mm-hmm.
But I'm sure it is solved in Order of the Phoenix. But when I was writing my notes, I actually couldn't remember why. It's been so long since I read this book, and I'm like, I know him using his blood is important, but I actually kind of forget why it's important. So I guess when we read Order of the Phoenix, we will be reintroduced to things that we forgot about.
Yeah, I guess it's a little bit marks him as his equal makes sense. And like, if he was allergic to Harry before because of blood mother's love magic, and having some of that blood in him is like taking a vaccine, obviously, like we discussed last chapter. So like now he's immune to the protective magic on Harry's blood or whatever. But like, what does that do that's good for Dumbledore?
I feel it's more that Dumbledore is now, he kind of has an idea of like what Voldemort's doing, and so this is how he crafts his master plan.
Okay.
I feel like this is what, or the Phoenix is really him putting like the pieces in motion, I think, for his master plan, and this is like something that really like sticks out to him.
Dumbledore doesn't see this part and think, oh, okay, now I know a piece of information that I can use against Voldemort. He's happy in this moment because he understands what Voldemort's doing. It's not like okay, I see what he's doing and I can stop it. It's I see what he's doing and now I can look at all the information available and start thinking about how we can stop it. So it's not like there's a flaw in Voldemort's plan in that moment because he can now touch Harry. It's just that Dumbledore feels satisfied understanding why Voldemort did that.
There's something about what Voldemort does, and it just like connects something for Dumbledore. I remember it's in the chapter in Order of the Phoenix where Dumbledore basically just lays out Harry's whole life and all these things that he didn't tell him. It's like, should have told you this, but this is why this happens. And I feel like that's in there where he goes through kind of like Harry and Voldemort and their connection, and he mentions all these things that he didn't tell Harry. Like, this is obviously something he keeps to himself. Harry probably should know, but you know.
Whatever.
He also tells them about what the wands did, the Priori Incantatem, and how like the ghostly apparitions of like the people Voldemort killed came back. And they explain kind of like brother wands and how unusual they are, and they can't attack each other. They won't want to, and this is what happens when you force them to attack each other. And it's just like, what was Ollivander doing when like creating these wands? Like, was it some weird experiment? Because it feels like, why would you make, if this happens, why would you make brother wands?
Yeah, it seems weird. It seems really, really weird if you know this is a thing that can happen to do it and not like make someone aware of it. If you happen to have two cores from the same animal, to not like let them know up front, like, hey, just so you know, somewhere in the world someone has this twin wand and it would be rough luck to be dueling them.
He knew Voldemort had that one wand.
Yeah, that's why Ollivander was like curious. So, like, maybe that's an important piece of information for Harry to have. Like, just so you know, your wand won't want you to kill Voldemort.
Your sworn enemy.
Like, what? Like, I understand it from the other direction. Like, oh, good, maybe Voldemort can't kill Harry now because the wands won't allow it. But it's still valuable information for Harry Potter to have. Like, make sure you don't accidentally use Ron's wand if you're fighting Voldemort and you're just defending yourself because yours will do better. But if you're trying to kill Voldemort, maybe borrow Ron's wand because it'll let you. Like, it just seems like a weird, risky experiment, especially because like Dumbledore donated the feathers
Yeah.
early on. So he's just like, it'll be interesting to see what happens if these two Wandcores find each other in life or something. Like, just for funsies, let's do some experimentation. But like, to me, the moment you find out one of those feathers goes to Voldemort, it's too risky to keep doing your lighthearted experiment because it's Voldemort, you know?
I wonder what the timeline was too, because obviously Voldemort's a lot older than Harry, and like so they use one feather from one animal, that specific animal, and that's done. And I wonder if it was like after Voldemort injured Harry, they're just like Dumbledore's like, "Hey, Ollivander, fun experiment. You want to make another wand with this matching wand core?"
The wording is like he gave two feathers to be Wandcores. Makes it sound like he gave both of them at the same time.
What was Dumbledore up to?
And Ollivander. Like, I wonder if, like, Ollivander made the first wand, Voldemort got it, and Ollivander's like, wow, that's a really powerful wand. He sent me another feather just in case that one got crumpled in the mail. So, like, maybe I'll make another one and see if it ends up in another powerful wizard's hands. Wouldn't that be... Like, I wonder how much of it was Ollivander experimenting and being curious and not being able to help himself because wand lore is his passion, and how much of it is Dumbledore fucking shit up for his own personal entertainment, you know?
I mean, Ollivander does seem kind of like a mad scientist type, so.
I mean, you have to be, I think, when you're specializing in something that's specific and, like, delicate. But it definitely seems like a bit of a liability once you realize who has the first one, and especially not telling Harry up front, P.S. Voldemort has your brother wand, so, like, keep in mind the following things can happen. If you ever duel and a bunch of weird-looking ghosts start coming out of the wand, it's gonna be really fucking traumatizing. Like...
Yes. So the other big part, obviously, is the apparitions that come out of Voldemort's wand, and Dumbledore realizing that Harry saw Cedric, and also he saw his parents. And Sirius is also very shocked by that revelation, that when Harry looks over at him, he has his hands, like his face in his hands. And if you think about it, like him reliving what happened to Harry's parents, that's kind of when Sirius lost his innocence as well.
Yeah.
Being, 22, going to prison for something he didn't do for almost another like decade of his life.
13 years.
Yeah, so like Harry also he's lost his innocence at this point in time with Voldemort coming back, and then Sirius is kind of reliving that through him as well, of like when he kind of lost that innocence in himself.
But also just like the idea, like Sirius loved them a lot too. So it's not just Voldemort hearing about these people you kind of know, they're like reflections coming out of the wand and not caring about the emotional impact. The emotional impact hits Sirius. He's like, how would I feel if I could see James and Lily again? Oh my God. And then imagine how much more traumatizing that is if you're not just their friend, but you're their child who has no adult or like competent memories of them because you were a wee baby.
Yeah.
There's so much more emotional implication for that happening, and he knows how traumatizing that can be. Like the emotional hit of it when Dumbledore's just like skirting over it, like, yep, that's interesting. Anything valuable they tell you about wand lore and magic? And Harry's like, did you skip the part where I said my dead parents' weird like ghost things were talking to me? Can we go back and like focus on that for a bit? And Sirius is like there and ready with Harry. Like the emotional trauma is the important point of that statement to those two, rather than Dumbledore's fact finding completely void of the emotional understanding of the implications. Like,
well, despite Dumbledore, being Dumbledore, he does show Harry a lot of like care and compassion about the trauma he faces. He keeps reminding Harry that like, how brave he was, how he like was brave like his father, how he like what he accomplished was like beyond his scope of what everyone would have expected for him, and he's like really taking care of him in this moment, which is really starkly different to how he kind of abandons him in Order of the Phoenix and how abandoned Harry feels.
Yeah, as if this kid hasn't been through enough.
Well, here Dumbledore is kind of like, really taking him by the hand and really like supporting him, and then basically just ghosts him after this horrifying event after being so nice to him. And Harry obviously is angry and he doesn't know what's going on. And it's no wonder he's so like, angsty and
pissed off next book.
Yeah, angry because he had a support system kind of after this huge trauma, and then he just kind of like ghosted him.
Yeah, it's kind of brutal. So we also get some of the underlying themes brought up again, sort of. So Dumbledore says that what matters isn't what someone is born, but what they grow to be. And I think that is such an important underlining theme throughout the series. It's like, were you Sirius Black, a pureblood born into a family of racists, and you decide to still be a good person and be friends with Muggleborns and be a good guy? Were you Hermione Granger born into a family of muggles and you end up being a powerful witch and being involved in witch society? Like, all of these things that say how you're born does not limit how you can engage with your life. And it just such reminds me so sort of prominently how weird and shocking the original revelations about the author's transphobia were.
Yeah.
Because to me, so many of the underlying themes in this book are like, oh, you were born that way, but you don't feel like that's right and you want to live your life a different way. Okay, do what feels right. You have the right to make choices, to make your life the best life you can live, and to define how you want to be and who you want to be. And it's like, to me, one of the celebrations of this series is like embracing that in people, encouraging people to have that freedom to live the lives they want. And it just seems so weird because to me, if I had never heard the author speak on things, I would think, of course they support trans people, because such a prominent underlying theme throughout the series is don't let the circumstances of your birth define you. You can make your own choices and become the person you want to be and live life the way that you see as the most authentic to yourself. And like, it just feels so weird reading lines like that in this book and thinking like, how did someone so hateful and judgmental as this author write something that feels so validating and supportive in this book?
Yeah. But we move into Fudge, just being the worst, which is most of this chapter. So
Oh, yeah. He's like, I don't think Voldemort's back. I'm pretty sure Harry's just crazy. I read about it in a Rita Skeeter article.
going from the beginning, so Harry, has been given a potion for dreamless sleep, and he's just, trying to rest after this trauma. And there's this background yelling, and it's actually Minnie G is yelling at the Minister of Magic because of what he did, which, good.
Correct, Minnie. You're right.
Yes, so it turns out that Fudge allowed the Dementor to perform the Dementor's kiss, basically, i.e., not killing, but, basically killing. What do we call it? A brain lobotomy or whatever?
Yeah, it's definitely a lobotomy, yeah.
And so now we know that the evidence that Barty Crouch Jr. could provide for the crimes he committed is basically gone because of what Fudge did.
Mm-hmm.
There's just like so many things with this, what Fudge did, that are just like bad.
Yeah, he's garbage. He's just like, I honestly, I want to punch Fudge so hard in this chapter. Like,
Yeah.
He lets the Dementor kiss Crouch. He allows that to happen. Then he complains there's no evidence when, like, there was evidence. It was right there. You fucked it up.
Yeah, you destroyed it.
And he's in blatant denial, and it's so disgusting.
Yeah.
The amount of like just horrendous gaslighting that he does to people who were there and saw the thing happen and then were there afterwards and saw the confession to just be like, no, it didn't happen. Like, honestly, I think I would have added cadaver his ass. Like, I don't think I have the emotional like strength to not be so frustrated at him that I would do something horrible and that could not be taken back, because it is so frustrating. Harry is so clearly traumatized. Like, you're just deciding all these people that said what happened and were there and have a reason to believe that and heard confessions are wrong. You're like, actually, no, none of that happened because I don't feel like dealing with it.
Fudge really shows a different side, kind of like the ugly side to his character in this chapter, and it really kind of lifts like kind of like the rose-tinted glasses of like childhood for Harry and us reading this in this chapter, seeing Fudge, who Harry usually described as being like fatherly and kind of like a bit pompous, but generally kind, into like who he is at his core, which is like
a dick.
Yeah. But some of the issues I just thought is that like Fudge claims he is allowed to bring protection to question a culprit, but like, why is he even questioning them? Like, I get like as the minister, he probably wants to make sure that like this person who committed all these crimes is apprehended, but someone who should be questioning like a culprit should be someone trained in that, like an Auror.
Yeah.
So why didn't he bring an Auror with him?
And when you have the suspect tied up, why are you bringing in
a Dementor? Yeah.
Like he's bringing in like a nuke. He's like, I'm going to bring a nuke into this questioning where this person can't get away and can't escape. And if it goes off, it goes off. That's on him. Like, to me, that's on him. And if I were an Auror or someone who actually works in the magical law enforcement department, I would be suspicious that Trump was some... No, Trump. Fuck. Fudge. I would be suspicious that Fudge was in some sort of collusion
Yeah.
with the Death Eaters and Crouch because he just killed off the witness.
It seems suspicious.
Like, to me, that's part of a cover-up. Like, I would be hella... And he's not even part of the cover-up. He's just an asshole who doesn't want to deal with the truth. But to me, it looks like he's covering up the truth and he's somehow colluding with the bad guys. And, like, nobody looks into that as a thing. And I'm like, to me... I get that they were all Hogwarts professors and therefore they all work for Dumbledore who saw the confession, but still, give Minnie some Veritas serum. Ask her what she saw. She'll tell you the truth. Snape could probably overdo the Veritas serum and still lie if he wanted to, but give it to Minnie. She'll tell you the truth. Like,
yeah, the other thing is that obviously Cedric has died and his parents want to know what happened to him. And like, how can you properly investigate how Cedric died if the person that like was really involved in this whole plot is no longer there?
Yeah, exactly. Someone involved in conspiracy to commit murder, which is what it was.
Yeah.
Like, and it's so unfair to Cedric's family what Fudge does specifically, because Dumbledore says later, like, it makes it look like, Cedric died in an accident or made a mistake, and it's like Cedric did not die in an accident and he did not make a mistake. None of this was his fault. He's like a teenage boy. He's not supposed to know how to fight evil wizards, and he's never had to before. So it's really like defamation of Cedric's character and his truth to say anything but what really happened. It's disgusting.
Yeah, all Fudge says about the Barty issue at Upfall is that, oh, Barty was a lunatic. And it's just like, that doesn't even mean it. Like, if you were scared for your safety, you had protection. But like, he was tied up. He was like indisposed.
Yeah.
And it just feels like Fudge just wanted to cover everything up. And it's just like a huge, gross overuse of power. He should honestly be impeached, whatever the equivalent is in the wizarding world.
I agree. I think the actual, like, other governors or whoever else is in political power should have talked to everyone who was a witness. So, like, Harry and the people who witnessed the confession. Like, that should be... I mean, Winky was even there for parts of it, right? Like, ask the house elf. And then sit down and say, okay, so this is what we hear. This is what he's saying. This is what they're saying. Like, hold an election or like say, like, basically the government is denying something that we can now see is pretty obviously true. He is not fit to hold office. Like, get him out of there.
Yeah, honestly. And Harry, the way Fudge like treats Harry too, when Harry's there and he's overhearing Fudge kind of like trying to like smooth this all over and kind of like put it under the sand, cover it up. And he's telling him like what he saw, what happened. And he's not really treating Harry like an object. He's not talking directly to Harry. He's talking about Harry in front of Harry to Dumbledore, being like, you're going to believe it, this kid who speaks to snakes and, his head hurts everywhere. And it's like, Harry's right there.
This kid who has saved the lives of everybody at the school like 4 years in a row now, yeah, we're gonna listen to him. Like, you realize this is Harry Potter, right? Like, universally liked small child hero, not dead. Like, what? It's so disgusting. It's so rude. It's so cruel. It's such an example of the worst of politics.
Yeah.
Just like like, Harry was a victim of something horrible. He's lucky to have survived. Yes, he's skillful and he did great things, but he got lucky that he's not dead.
Exactly.
And they're just like, oh, nothing happened. Harry's just a Looney Tune. And it's like I said, I couldn't have sat there and listened to him say those things and let him leave that room to go back to the government and spread his lies. I'd be like, okay, so you're not leaving this room until you understand the reality of what happened. And if you refuse to understand the reality of what happened, I am calling in the Wismagot for an emergency.
Yeah, hearing.
Yeah, because that's insane and delusional and unhinged.
So Harry starts kind of like naming off Death Eaters that were around that he saw. And
as he should.
Yeah, when he mentions Malfoy, who is the first one he mentions, Fudge kind of glosses over, being like, oh, he was cleared. He's from an old wizarding family. He gives so many donations. And it just is very clear that Fudge is very prejudiced. Even Dumbledore calls out his preference for blood purity. We don't see a lot of that with Fudge and how he acts, but it's just very like microaggressions and like the way he really has snap judgments about people.
Yeah.
Like the way he treated Madame Maxine earlier on. And it's like he's not quite like Malfoy, but he's in the same like realm of it.
Absolutely. It's racism for sure. Like he doesn't want to think that a family that's pure blood would possibly do anything wrong, except like pure blood status is one of the key tenures of Voldemort's entire like platform.
Exactly.
The people that Voldemort says are better than everyone else wouldn't possibly support Voldemort. What? Like, yes, actually, they're the people who absolutely would support Voldemort. Like, wake up and smell the reality here, bud. And like, they're like, oh no, they were found innocent. They were found innocent. They were forgiven. They didn't do it. We held the trial and they're fine. And it's like, okay, did you consider that maybe your trial had the wrong results?
Yeah, did you consider that you could be wrong?
That happens. Here's the thing, right? You can't retry him for previous crimes that you found him innocent of, but he was there while Harry was being almost killed and Cedric was murdered. And so, at bare minimum, there's a whole new trial you can hold just for like kidnapping, you know? Like, it's mind-boggling. He's like, no, they were found innocent once, so they definitely were innocent, and we're never going to look at them for anything ever again because he's rich. And it's just like, it's so real. Like, it frustrates me so much because I believe it so much.
Yeah.
You know, oh, how many times do you hear like true crime cases and they're like, he came from a good family. And it's like, oh, his parents had money, so they couldn't possibly have done this. Except statistically, lots of people who meet those standards all do this thing. Like, it's just, it's so real that it frustrates me. Like, it's disgusting.
But basically, Fudge's whole thing is that Dumbledore tries to convince him that Voldemort is back. There's been lots of evidence about it, and Fudge just refuses to accept it. He calls them all crazy. Snape even shows him his dark mark, and Fudge still just doesn't want to handle it, and he just kind of like leaves in an angry huff.
And Snape doing that is like very selfless and very like sort of impulsive, but at the same time like brave. Like, people are there and seeing it, and he doesn't know what Harry saw in the Pensieve. He doesn't know that they know he has connections to Death Eaters or was a Death Eater or any of that really. And so that's a pretty like revealing thing to do. And he did it because he, you know, in that moment was mad, but also understood that like it's a hugely different situation if the Minister of Magic doesn't believe the reality of what's happening. You know? And he was just like, well, I'll just throw myself under the bus to try and make sure the situation is as best as it can be, and it didn't work, and it's so frustrating. It's a rough chapter for Snape. I feel so bad for him. Like, Harry's traumatized, and yes, Harry's the most traumatized, but like I think Snape might come in second.
Well, my point is that Snape gets confirmation that Dumbledore gaslit him in Prisoner of Azkaban because Sirius reveals himself at Dumbledore's command and says that they're all on the same side now.
And Snape's like, I'm sorry. I was going to get an Order of Merlin for catching a bad guy who tried to kill Harry Potter, who also happened to be my enemy. So there was added joy in that. And you ruined it all, lied to me, and now you want me to just get over that real quick. Ugh. The lack of emotional understanding from Albus Dumbledore is just ridiculous, considering he's so smart. It just boggles my brain. And like, I really, really hate the way Dumbledore just like makes Snape and Sirius shake hands and apologize. Like, it's so a parent making their young children apologize after a fight when it's like obviously an empty gesture. And to be honest, it's like really invalidating of both of the people involved's lived experience. Like, Snape has every right to hate Sirius Black. Sirius Black, as far as he was concerned for most of his life, got the love of his life killed and betrayed his own friends and treated him like shit as a youth and like tried to kill Harry Potter. And like, he has all these reasons that are totally justified. And like, some of them aren't the reality, but no one told him they weren't the reality. So of course he still hates him. And sort of the same goes for Sirius. Even like, this is that asshole who's mean to his godson, and this is that asshole who couldn't get over Lily, and this is that asshole who always thought he was whatever better than James and tried to get Lupin in trouble for being a werewolf and shit. Like, both of their feelings are very valid and based on the realities and the lack of like information Dumbledore has provided them. They're both sort of in the right in their own minds. And like, to just be like, you need to get over that, shake hands and forgive each other. It's just like, it's so.
I feel like Dumbledore expected way too much out of Sirius and Snape.
Yeah.
And the bad blood they had between him. He made mistakes with getting Snape to teach Harry occlumency, just expecting Sirius to just like hang out in the house. Like, he just didn't really, I think he expected them to arise above it for the greater good. But those cuts just go way too deep with them. I feel like he should have just like expected it, knowing what their history and everything, and just to like keep them away from that kind of stuff.
I feel like because Dumbledore has had a certain status for so long in his life, he forgets that like people have emotional stuff going on. Like,
Yeah.
he's Dumbledore. No one messes with him. He's so far above everything. You're not going to have a petty fight with Dumbledore. But other people have like lived lives and experiences and interpersonal relationships. And like, he's so not understanding of that. He's like, you need to just forget about all the things that motivate you as a person and your feelings and your history and do what I want. And it's just like, it's infantilizing to both of them, and it's really dismissive. And I feel like not the right way to go above it, because they're obviously still fuming underneath the surface. To me, you need to either give them all the necessary information, like, look, Sirius didn't get them killed. It was Peter, blah, 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 blah. Sirius was a dick when he was a teenager. You're kind of a dick now as an adult. Neither of you is perfect. Like, there's a way to sit down and actually bring some of the stuff to the surface and be like, you can be mad at each other for the following things, but that has to be on your own time, and during team time you have to work together when we need you to. There's a way to do it that's very like saying your feelings are valid, saying you don't have to like each other, saying you both are right on different points on different sides of the argument, and then saying, listen, just deprioritize hating each other temporarily, because I don't expect you to not hate each other. We don't have time to deal with those feelings, and hopefully one day you will, but like, feel them, that's fine, but feel them at non-team time.
Dumbledore doesn't really look at people as like having lived experience, because Dumbledore looks at everything kind of like chess moves, like where he's going to put things. He's not looking at like each person and their individual feelings or experiences. He's looking at the grand scheme of things and who he needs, where they need to be. And so he needs both Sirius and Snape on the same side, and he wants them not to like be fighting with each other, but he doesn't really try to like mend the bridges, and there's just too much history there, and I feel like he just sort of kept them separate. Like he
doesn't understand it, because he sees himself as so far above that kind of interpersonal struggles that like he can't begin to comprehend it, and it's one of his biggest weaknesses, I think, not understanding that about people. And I love the pawn analogy with chess, because it's very much like, it's easy to say my first pawn is going to move forward and he's going to take the other guy's pawn, but the only reason your pawn is now safe is that the pawn behind him is protecting him. And your pawn doesn't want to step forward and take the other team if he doesn't trust the pawn behind him is protecting him. And that's what's happening with Sirius and with Snape. It's just like Dumbledore does not do a good job of handling the situation, and it frustrates me deeply for both of them. Even like sometimes Sirius is a pain in my ass and it bothers me the way he does things. But even here, I feel bad for both of them in so many ways, that it's just like they're both so shocked about the new reality of Voldemort being back. And on top of that, it's like
these old wounds have been reopened.
Yeah, Dumbledore just needs to sort out his priorities, because he's not being a real person. Like he's forgetting that he's not just talking to mindless zombies that does whatever he wants. They're people. Like, the dehumanization, the infantilization, it drives me nuts.
So Harry's kind of had this blow at the end of the chapter with Fudge not believing him and dealing with the realities of Voldemort back. And also Sirius is told to leave because he needs to go round up the rest of the Aura members, go see Lupin, and kind of like get their headquarters ready. And Harry's like been sad.
And then Snape needs to do something as well. And poor Snape. Like, basically Dumbledore's like, I need you to do the thing again. And Snape's like, yep, like back at it again. And it's exhausting. And he probably thought that part of his life was done when Voldemort died. So now there's this chance that he goes back to Voldemort, and Voldemort's like, I don't believe that you're still undercover for me, and just kill Snape. Like, there's a chance Voldemort just was like, I don't believe you, and kill Snape. It could have happened. And Snape has to just like go and do that and hope for the best, and like not prepared, hasn't been practicing what he's going to say for weeks on end, or building little bits of questionable behavior into his daily life, except for being a dick to Harry. You know what I mean? Snape doesn't have a lot going for him to convince Voldemort that he's still loyal. He literally just has, I'm a dick to Harry Potter all the time.
Well, we kind of end the chapter on a bit of a sweet note where Harry, is kind of like, has all these things going on. He's kind of upset, and Mrs. Weasley is the one who is talking to him, and he's kind of revealing his guilt about how Cedric died and the Triwizard winnings he has that he doesn't want. And she hugs him, and Harry relates it to like feeling like he's being hugged by a mother, which he doesn't feel like he's ever had. And despite everything that's going on, like it's like he really needed that to cement him into reality.
Yeah. There's something about that. Like for me, even like when my father passed away, I'd handled it pretty well at first. And then my boyfriend's dad gave me a hug. And because it was a hug from a dad,
yeah,
I lost it. And it's that type of like,
you don't really know if you need it until it happens.
Exactly. And for Harry, having just seen his mother's reflection ghost thingy and like all that, to just have a mother give him a hug is exactly what he needed, I think. Miss Weasley is not her best self in this book, but in this moment, she is the Miss Weasley we love.
But this is a really sweet moment where she kind of puts aside everything that's kind of going on that's really going to affect her family, and just to like be there for Harry. And I feel like Ron and Hermione would have told Harry too, it's not your fault, but I feel like he just needed to hear that from a comforting presence, especially because Sirius had to leave, and that was kind of like his person at that time for all this trauma, and he just needed, I think, a mom too is like kind of what you lean towards during times of like hardship.
Yeah.
Just having that comfort there from a mom or mom figure. It does mean a lot. Yeah, so that is the end of the chapter. Do you have any other remarks about this chapter before we wrap up?
It's just frustrating. Like, it's so frustrating how, like,
Yeah.
so much of reality has changed for everyone now. Like, the whole circumstance of the wizarding world is different now. And Fudge just lying and knowing what's coming next, knowing what he's going to put Harry through, and even like Hogwarts in general through next year is so frustrating. Knowing that, like, maybe there's a way they could have handled things in this chapter differently that would have resulted in the next book being different, you know?
Yeah, this was like kind of us dealing with the idea of like how the book and the series itself has changed or is going to be changing, as it's kind of like not really resolving things, but it's just setting up for this is going to be our new normal now. Yeah, but thank you for listening to this episode of Potter Revisited, and we will be back next time to discuss the last chapter of Goblet of Fire, the beginning. So if you like this episode, you can like us on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. You can leave a comment on Apple Podcasts or Spotify as well. You can reach out to us on social media at Potter Revisited or email us at potterrevisitedpodcast@gmail.com, and we will see you next time.
Bye.